Okay, so good morning once again. So we are still on HTML tags. Like I told us last time, we still have some few tags to complete before we can go into designing. So this morning we have 2 to 3 different tags we are expected to cover. So in our last class, I think the set of tags we worked with were the media tags, the audio tag, the video tag, and the iframe tag. So this morning we are starting with what we call the HTML listing tag. HTML listing tag. HTML listing tag. So we are starting with this set of tags. HTML listing tags. So what do we mean by listing before we talk about the tags? Because these tags are for listing. So you need to know what listing is as a developer. And I want us to remember, I told us from the beginning that all these tags we are learning have their primary purpose due to the kind of contents you want to publish in your website that will determine whether you are to use A or you are to use B. And I also said then that, but at times professionals do swap their functions, which means there are some that could be used for multi-purpose, while there are some that can only be used for a specific purpose. For example, there is no other scenario where you will use image tag outside adding or embedding. Okay, sorry about that. So I'll try to explain so that we have proper understanding on this set of tags we are dealing with. Now, let's assume that in your website, you are asked to mention different services you offer, where you love or probably intend to say things like, we offer the following services. 1, cyber security training. 2, data analytics. 3, AutoCAD. 4, 650. So you can see what I'm saying. Let's say you are asked to list. You can say that I'm listing them. I'm listing my services vertically. So where you need that kind of mentioning of items vertically, you need one of the HTML listing tag. It's just like what we are taught in Microsoft Word. In Microsoft Word, we are taught bullet and numbering, where we use number to enhance lines tracing. And then we use something like shapes to enhance line tracing. I hope you are getting what I'm saying. So that same thing you know as bullets and numbering in Microsoft Word is what we want to learn here as listing tag or listing. So let's check the front end. So what I'm going to do here is I'll just simply create another file just for practicing what we are learning this morning. So let me just create a file and then I'll name it listing, just for us to practicalize what we are learning now. listing.html, listing.html. So let me activate my HTML default files. Okay, so what we are learning right now, I'll use comments to explain it, which is HTML listing tags. So I was trying to give us an overview of what it is. Now, if I may just go to Microsoft Word and just show us what we are about to code as programmer, because I'm not sure that every one of us have actually learned Microsoft Word. If not, as I mentioned, header, bullet, and numbering, you should have understand what I'm saying. Now, let's assume I have mouse. So I am listing products that I sell. Let's assume that I have keyboard. I have keyboard. And then I also have laptop. So these are three items listed vertically. Now, this is what we are talking about. Here, you are using a kind of bullet. You are using bullets to mention this item. Now, in HTML, there is a tag that when you call that tag, it is one that will generate the markers. Another tag is the one that will generate the content. So this type of listing in HTML, where you use shapes, it is called on order lists. Because we actually have three types of listing tags. We have the order lists, and we have the on order list, and then we have the definition list. And that is what I'm trying to explain here now, so that once we get to the coding environment, it will sync faster in your memory. So if I copy this and I paste here, so let me disconnect here. If I highlight just these three items, and then I come back here and I use number. So these ones, where you have numbers, which can be a Roman number or alphabets, enhancing your lines like this. This is called order list. Why is it called order? Because the items are arranged in a standard order where you can know 1, 2, 3. But this one, there is no order. You don't have order here. That is why they are referred to as on order lists, where you use shape, and where you use number is called order lists. So the other one, which is the definition list, it is for grouping, Let's say these items that you are mentioning under the mouse. Let's say you have computer. I'm just trying to lay the background. Let's say you have computer sets. For example, you have computer set as a list. So let's assume that I have it this way. Now, under this computer, and I have mouse. Under the same computer, and I have what? Keyboard. I have keyboard. So you can see that all these items, they are derived from this category item. So where you want to list in a way that you are targeting the main item, and then before you now target the sub item that are generated from that main item, we refer to that kind of listing as definition list. So I can come here now and say, okay, I have another set of item. This one I can say maybe what should I use here? Looking for another categorical name that I can use to group another set of items. So let's say laptop. So under laptop, you now have HP, you now have Toshiba, you now have Dell. So this type of listing, it is called definition listing. So with this background that I've laid now, we should be able to understand what we want to achieve today. So there are three types of HTML listing tags. There are three tags. There are three which you need to know. Three types of HTML listing tag. Listing tags. So what are these? Number one, I said we have order lists, which is the first one I'm going to talk about. Now, we have on order list. And then finally, we have definition list. So you are expected to know how to use them depending on how the item or the information you want to publish in your web page is given to you. That will determine whether you are to consult order lists, or you are to consult on order lists, or you are to consult definition lists. So just to explain, starting with the order list. We're starting with the order list. Let's start with the order list. So the order lists, like I've explained earlier on, the order list creates an order list. Create an order. That is what items that are arranged in a standard order. So where each item is numbered, that is when we can say it is an order list. Where each items are numbered. Now, like I said before, these items can be numbered with numeric value or Roman figure or even alphabet. So we're going to see how we can manipulate all that. Now, the tag is denoted with this OL. OL is what generates the marker. If I go back to MS Word, you see this pitch, this 1, 2, 3. That OL tag is the one that is responsible for creating the numbering. But what is responsible for creating the item itself is another tag, which should be wrapped inside the OL as a container. So we can then say that the OL generates the marker, while LI, because you have to use this set of tags together, while LI generates or creates the item. Creates the items. So we're going to be working with each of them. We come with a container element. Then there will now be what? A child element. So the container element here is the one in charge of producing the marker, while the LI is the one in charge of creating the content for each of these markers. So now looking at it from here, let's implement it. So like I said, let me use comments to explain the task. And the task is create a product list in your web page. Create a product list in your web page. Now we are looking at order list first. So I will start by saying OL, like I just explained. That OL means what? Order list. So I'll press enter. So it will open like this. So like I was saying, just creating this, the only thing you have activated is what? This bullet. That is the only thing you have activated. You have not mentioned the item that are attributed to them. So now it means that you have to see this as a container. And if you are seeing this as a container, like I always say, you expand it by pressing enter in order to give you that impression that you are using this as a container. Therefore, items are to be created inside it. Because if you leave it in that straight line, sometimes you may not know that is a container. So because of other list we might create, I told us I'll quickly class it because of CSS. So I'll call it what? OL1, for example, just a class name. Then I'll go back to inside it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to start mentioning this item. I will start by mentioning mouse, followed by keyboard, then followed by, this is the one we are creating now, mouse, keyboard, and laptop. So to mention those items, that is where LI, which I've mentioned, comes in. So I'll say LI inside it. I'll press enter. I will now call the first one mouse. Another LI inside it. Another LI inside it. And then I will name that LI. I will name that LI keyboard. Then another LI inside it. I will name it laptop. So since I did not use the space to enhance my code formatting, let me delete empty space. All right, so now let's check the front end and see what we have developed so far. So you can see it. So we have been able to what? To create our order list. Now, like I said, you may be wondering, how come about the 1, 2, 3? Those 1, 2, 3 were created by just activating the OL. Then those items you are seeing there are created with the what? The LI. So this is what we call HTML listing, where you are listing items in your web page. Most time, it is when you are creating the service page where you need to mention different services the organization offer. And I hope it's clear. Please, let me get at least one response before I proceed. Is it clear? It's a very simple syntax. Is it clear to us? Can one person reply, please? Oh, Impurity, hope you are here.
Samuel,
following? Hello, I'm asking.
I'm trying to, yes, so but before you enhance the comments,
Hmm.
so that was where I missed it.
Which of the comments? Mouse, keyboard. Please respond to the question first so I can move forward. Are you hearing me at all?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
So what is which of the comments? I asked a question, didn't respond. Which of the comment? Is it this comment or what? This comment or here?
This very one now, the one in green line.
And these are just comments that we have been writing now. Is it that you don't know how to write comments?
No, before you enhance it, I'm trying to.
I enhance comments. How? How did I enhance comments? Is it if I created this, you are
You
referring?
know, you enlarge it now. Before you enlarge it, I'm about to round it off. So, as you're doing, I'm following you. So that was where I missed
Okay. But hope you are following, learning that way.
it. Yes.
Because if you are not following, you have to pay attention and listen. Then later you go through it. But if that is the best way you can cope, fine. All right. So that is all about OL. Now, but there are some things we can still do. We want to manipulate the output. So if you look at this now, you will see that we are having the item numbered, like I told us before. Now, there are other markers you can use when you are using order lists. If I don't want to use number, I can use Roman number like I, and so on. Or I can as well use alphabet. Let's say A, B, C, D. So, but by default, the tag has been programmed to display the marker as number. So how do we now change it? So that is taking us to order lists, order list attributes. Remember, I have told us before that attribute provide additional information about the HTML element you are working with. So for us to be able to change it from the default numbers to another marker, we need to introduce attribute here. So order list attribute or type. Let me just mention the attribute name, type attribute. So for us to influence that, we have to go inside the opening section of that tag. Right now, we added an attribute called what? Class. And the intention is to help us to identify this particular OL unique from other one. So for us to add another attribute, like I always say, always go to where the last attribute was used and space. Then the attribute we are bringing is called type, is an attribute. So this type attribute is what will be used to be regulating the markers. Is what I will use to change it from number to alphabet. It is what I will use to change it from alphabet to Roman number. So those are the only three types you can use. Now, if I want number, I'll put 1 inside. So we are already by default on number. So if I go to the front end, I am not going to see any difference. Now, if I change it to A now, either capital letter A or small letter a, depending on how you want them to be mentioned. Let me use capital letter A. If I go back to my front end, you will see that what? It has updated from number 1 towards alphabet. So what I'm doing right now is called this order list type attribute. Now, this attribute was introduced in order to describe this more. So what is it describing about this? Is the one what reassigning the markers. Now, if I want Roman number, I will just put I inside there. Then I can also have capital or uppercase what Roman number or lowercase Roman number. So if I want this, I click. And then by the time you go back to the front end, you see that what you have also updated that. So this is how you can actually work with the OL, both on how to activate its main container OL, how to mention the item, and how to what? To change the marker. So with that, we now look at the next type of next type of order lists. Remember, I mentioned 3 of them, so we are through with the order lists. Now, let's look at on order lists. So what we are about to develop now is this one, where we have shape enhancing or listing the item. So the one we just completed now falls under what? This appearance. So once we are done with this one, then we'll now end it with this. So what is on order lists? The name itself has already defined it from the previous definition. So let me use comment on order lists tag. Now on order list tag, it's used to create an order list where each item is marked with a bullet point. It is used to create an on order list where each item is marked with a bullet point. So the bullet point in this case is this symbol. So we refer to them as bullet points. That is why I told us before that what you know as bullet and numbering is what we are learning how to code here. Now, it is denoted with UL. So instead of you saying OL, you will now say what? UL. So that U represents on order, while the L represents list. Now, the same tag is used to list the item. So we are still using the LI to mention the item. So both OL and UL, they use the LI to mention the items. So just to apply it, so I'm going to start by calling UL, and then I'll press enter. Like I said, it's a container, so I have to what? Expand it. So in case I have another UL, so let me class it so that I can always talk to it from my CSS uniquely. So let's say this is UL1. Let's say UL1. Then I'll go inside and do the same word, LI. So to avoid wasting my time, I have already created them here. So let me just copy. See? Come inside here, Control V. So this is how you can create your UL. Now let's go to the front end and check what we have now. So we have both of them. So you can see this is your OL, while this is your UL. The difference is the marker. Both of them mention, both of them list item, but the difference is what? The marker. All right. So now, just like the way we manipulated this, the question is that, is it only this type of dot that can be used to trace these lines? The answer is no. So for us to manipulate the marker, that will bring us to on order list. on order list, style attributes, on order list, style attributes. So here you can see we are using the word style. Why the other time I use what? Type attributes. So here we have to remove attribute because we are not working with attributes. So it should now be what? On order list what? Style. Because here we are involving CSS. But in the case of the OL, we use what? An attribute without involving CSS. But once it comes to the on order list, you can't change those marker from the HTML. You have to use CSS property to achieve that. So thank God that I've already classed it. So I'll just take this. And then let me use internal CSS because I don't think I've connected this page to our style sheet. So of course, so the property you need here to be able to change, to update the marker is called list style. You can use this or use this. So that default, just like the way we have numbers as a default before we were able to change it to Roman number or alphabet. In the case of on order lists, what you are having right now, this symbol is called Dix. So if I want to change it, then I can just change here to cycle. So if I go back now, you see that what the icon will have changed to cycle. If I also want to change it to square shape, I will change it to square. Then if I go back, the item will have also, the icon will have changed to square. Well, sir, most time professionals don't use this. Professionals don't use this type of basic marker. So what we do, because we are after creating an attractive user interface for our visitor. So we need to create something that will entice them. So doing that, we will now go to using how to use external shape as our marker. So I can go to Photoshop, I can go to CorelDRAW and create my icon, whatever I want to use, export it as an image, and then I can use it as my marker. Or I go to Google, which we are going to do right now. Go to Google and go and search for attractive design that can be used, like check boxes that can be used in the place of this default marker. So that is now taking us to how to use, let me use comment here, how to use external marker for on order list. How to use. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my browser, download that icon, save it in an image tag, then I will use CSS property to feed it in. So let's quickly go to our browser and get the icon. So from here, I will just search for checkbox icon. So you can see I have a lot of them. So I'll choose the one that I feel that is okay for me. So let me go to images so that I can see better one. Now let's say I'm taking this one. So you right click on it, go to save image as, target your project folder, which is on desktop. Then target the folder. Where is the folder? The folder. Go to your image and then save it there as, let's say, check 1, in case I want to get more. So once you have done that, the remaining work is in your development environment now. So how do you code in that shape? The only thing you will change is this property. You are not going to use this property. This property is when you are using the inbuilt marker, like that circle, square, the disc that we just used now. If I want to use external image, let me comment this out temporarily. So I'm going to use list style image. So this is the one you are using because you are bringing in a picture. And the picture is not embedded in your development environment. So what you do is an external entity. So for that reason, you have to add URL because you are calling something from a directory from outside. Now you slash inside as usual in order to output all the elements in your root folder. So we go to image folder and then we locate the icon. Just that. Now, if I go to the page now, you see it's got to appear very big. That is why it's being presented like this. So how do I change the size? Because the image was not added as an element. We did not call img that we can probably say, okay, let's go to our CSS page and say img width height. You reference the image through your CSS. So it's not added anywhere in your HTML document. So the only way we are going to edit the size now is either you must have sized it to a standard icon, either with your graphics app before you use it, or as it has happened like this, you go to the folder, the root folder, which is, let me go to desktop so that I can quickly locate it here. So from here, we are targeting that folder, web, web, web. Then go to the image. Now, this is the picture you want to edit, its width and height. So all you need to do here is to right-click on it, then select Open Width. Select Open Width. Every window have paints. Every window, whether it's window 10, whether it's window 11. This particular application is built in there. So you open it with paint. Now, selecting this, okay, so this is the image. So the first thing I'm going to do is to resize it, to change it from probably percentage to pixel so that I can easily reduce it. So let me look for the icon for resizing the image. So here the whole of this place talks about what? Image. So if I click here, this one is for flipping it. This is the icon for resize and skew. So once you click on it, it will pop out this dialog box. Right now, the image is measured based on percentage. So you change from this to pixel. So you see the equivalent what? Pixel value. Now you can see the value is too high. So what I will do is that I will use something like 30. And then as soon as I type it here, because they are linked, it's reflected here automatically. Now, once I click, this is the size. So I want it to appear like this. Now, I don't want to resave it. I want to save it with the same name that was used so that it will automatically update in my web page. So I'll click on this icon, not going to file and selecting save as. Just click here. So which means that you have automatically updated this particular image size in the root folder. So now all I need to do is to leave this place, go back to my website. You will discover that what the pictures or the picture will have been fitted. So this is how you can use external. If you feel that it still have to be smaller than this, then you go back to the paint and modify it. So this is how to work with order list and on order list. So I would like to give us 10 minutes. The 10 minutes you share your screen, and then I want to see you giving me something like this. I am more concerned with this one. I want to see how you can use external icon. I want to confirm that before we look at the last tag, which is the definition list. But these two are the most used list tag in HTML. Any question first before I allow us to go through it? Do we have question? Do we have question? Okay, so let me assume there is no question. So let me start with Oyikosi, Purity. Please let me see your screen. Share your screen. Let's see what you have done so far. Okay, so now can we see your front end? Let's see your front end. Flourish, I'll be coming to you soon. So make sure you get your laptop ready.
So please, I still not get all the CSS of ordered list, the code. I was telling you that thing.
The one of external I'm talking about because you have already applied the input. You want to work with the external, right?
Yes,
Have you downloaded the picture in the icon in your image folder first? Let's start from there.
yes, yes.
Now, inside that place, let the blinking icon enter inside that. Type URL. Click the last option. Now, / inside. Now, go to your image folder. Then locate the icon. That is all. Now, go to the front end. Then, if it's too big, before we can think of. Okay.
But it's not in order.
Hmm? It's not in order.
Is it okay like this?
It's small now. Is it not small? It's small. You got an average size. That is why it will not require you going to paint to resize. Well, if you feel you want to make it smaller than that, you are still going to style the text later. You are going to, those texts, you are going to give them font size. You are going to increase the size.
Okay.
Once you increase the font size of those letters, those words now, they will be.
It will match.
So for now, maybe that is why you are saying it's not. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, please, can I hear from you? Let me see your screen. So you cannot share now. Flourish, let's get from you. Let's know what you have done so far.
I'm coming. No, I don't have battery, so I off the laptop.
Okay.
But if I on it since then, the thing would have off.
But is it booted?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so for the definition list, remember that I've given us the illustration, how it look like, where you have the kind of, when you are grouping items, where you are grouping items, when you need the definition list. So HTML definition lists. Now, just like the way we open the OL and UL as container before we nested the LI for creating the item, here you start with DL. So that DL represents what? The definition list. Then you expand it. So inside the DL, which is the main container, you open another tag called what? DT. This DT means what? Data term. This data term is the header of that what? Categorical item. For example, like I gave to us in Microsoft Word, let's say I want to mention computer set. That heading computer set should be introduced with DT. So I will say what? Computer sets. Then immediately after it, you are not writing it inside it. You create another tag called DD. DD means what? Definition data. So here, definition heading. Here, definition data. What you want to. So this is now replacing our LI. So here is where you mention the heading of that category. Then any other sub item should be created with what? DD. And it should not be wrapped inside it. You can see that I did not expand it. The only one that I expanded is the first container. So I will say, okay, mouse. So I want to mention another computer set. I will say DD again, which is keyboard. I want to mention another one, DD again. I will say, let's say flash drive. Flash drive. Now, if I'm done mentioning this category, while I am still inside this main tag, I will now start with what? DT again to bring in the next heading. The next heading, let's say, laptop. Laptops. So under laptop, DD, HP, DD, let's say Toshiba. Toshiba, I'm not sure if I'm correct with Toshiba, whether it's X. I think it should be this. DD again, let's say Dell. So that is how you continue, and all of them should be inside what? The DL. Now let's go to the front end and check the impact of this tag. So you can see the way it's indented it, giving you this paragraph space to tell you that what? This is the main object. These are the sub. This is another one. These are the sub items. So that is how definition list work.